As I was personally watching Jujutsu Kaisen and began watching the second season, I thought it would have been something similar to the first season. You know, a chill plot, nice fight scenes, and interesting storylines. But instead what I was greeted to, and many of us were greeted to, was something completely different. Although it did contain many things like I mentioned before, I think it just put all of them into overdrive. Because this show should be rated 18 plus at this point once you find out exactly what is going on in this season. It's definitely not one of those shows that you want to watch cuddle up in your living room with your family. It's definitely not family friendly. This show is legit at times comparable to a horror movie. Now you're probably asking, why am I bringing up all of these points? This is because of specifically the third episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, when Gojo and Geto are tasked to protect this girl who is supposed to be given to Tengen in order to help Tengen stabilize the barriers and essentially reduce his aging process. What ends up happening is that Toji ends up putting a bounty on this girl that Geto and Gojo are supposed to be protecting, and this is all in his plan to get Gojo and Geto to become weakened by fending off against pointless enemies and then eventually facing off against Toji. Gojo even ends up admitting that he hasn't gotten much sleep due to the fact that he's just keeping up this barrier all the time and being on high alert. And then this is where everything in the anime just completely changes, and you get shocked for one of the first times when watching this show. This is when Gojo is just there and he just gets stabbed completely out of nowhere. And you know, we all thought Gojo was invincible, that he was protected by plot armor, but that idea was just an illusion, as Gojo out of nowhere just ends up getting stabbed right in the chest by Toji. You know, Toji is a sorcerer who has a heavenly restriction placed upon him. That is the reason that he's able to sneak past Gojo's senses and able to go past his barrier undetected. This means that he has, and in his case, he actually possesses zero curse energy at all, which makes him completely undetectable by sorcerers, and this gives Toji an advantage as he's fighting against Gojo. And because of the fact that he has no curse energy, this has caused him to heighten his senses and essentially become a superhuman, able to see curse spirits, along with just getting completely snuck up on by Toji. Gojo just continues to act in a nervous and stressed out manner that, you know, we never actually saw before. We never experienced Gojo in this state before, which further proves that Gojo is not this perfect person that we once thought he was. And then the fight ends up closing in, and although Toji was able to actually fend off Gojo was actually able to fend off Toji for a good amount of time. Toji just ends up completely annihilating Gojo and stabbing him right through the neck, and then continuing to stab him multiple more times, leaving him in a pool of blood. Just watching the scene is brutal enough to compare it to something like an episode of Baki. I never thought that Jujutsu Kaisen would have ever gotten this violent, but this scene completely shocked me and showed me the dark and twisted nature of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, many of us thought this was the end of Gojo, as he, lied there lifeless. But of course, this isn't how it was going to end. Instead, Gojo managed to stay alive by figuring out how to use reverse curse technique to ultimately heal himself at the last moment. And that is when we see Gojo reappear and challenge Toji for the second time. But in this case, he's not actually the same person Toji was fighting previously. As stated previously, Gojo awakened a new ability and now completely lost his mind after being on the brink of death. This man must be on some psychedelics, because you would never expect this calm character to end up in this kind of state. And before we know it, Gojo ends up getting his payback on Toji, drilling a hole straight through the right side of his stomach. This also was a very disturbing scene, as Toji is literally just standing there as half of his torso is just completely obliterated, and that's where all of this ends.